How are you? You know?
Great, man. I'm loving life.
I was listening to my Scott Galloway book this morning because that's what I do when
Yep.
I'm at the gym. And he's talking about, like, trust me, I own a jet and I've made this many millions of dollars when I sold this company and that company, but there's one thing I can't buy. I cannot buy time. In fact, no one can buy time. You can spend money, but you can make more money. You can never get time back.
You had a pretty good impression at the start there.
Of Galloway?
Of Galloway for a second there.
I don't mind him. I like him. How did your perception of time change when your ability to decide what to do with it gets taken away from you?
Yeah, I was in jail for 4 months, and that when I look back at it now, it wasn't long, but at the time it dragged on. It went for a very long time. There were parts of it that seemed longer than others. I think the first 2 weeks when I was in quarantine because of COVID, that was the slowest part of it all because I had no TV or books for the first 2 weeks, and you're just stuck in your cell for the 23 and a half hours a day. And so you're just stuck in your own thoughts. And when you first get arrested, that's the last place you want to be because it's just a very dark place.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it's like. Is there any detox or anything like that?
Well, I mean, that prison was essentially my rehab. It was my detox because I went straight from a coke-fueled bender that I'd been on for about 3 days to just like bang, my house getting raided, to bang, being in a police station, bang, I'm on my way to prison. And then like you're like, how the hell did this all just happen? And so I just tried to sleep as much as possible because I hadn't had sleep in a few days. So I just thought, if I can sleep, it's better than being awake because that was not a great place. And then... yeah, I don't think the boredom of being stuck in a cell for 23 and a half hours a day with nothing else to do, you stare at the ceiling, you stare out the window, you look at like other guys moving around, and then you're like, okay, that seems like forever. How long's it been? Maybe 20 minutes. So, yeah, you start to just try and find anything just to break up the day into like tiny little bits. Okay, that's lunch. Okay, then there's some other guys get let out of their cell. Let's watch them for an hour. Just anything to just try and whittle away the time. So that the hardest part of my entire prison time was that first 2 weeks. Once I got past quarantine and I was out in like a mainstream prison wing, and it was just like, it was dangerous, it was chaos, and it was like, there was just a lot of guys to interact with, and there was just much more things to stimulate me between books and TV and exercise. Then it was fine. I preferred having to just have eyes in the back of my head just in case I get like someone trying to bash me. I preferred that than the boredom of the first 2 weeks.
I don't think I've ever done 3 days in a row, but I've definitely done some benders in my time. And in my experience, I'm 14 years and 5 months clean. But in the end, it was less about, hey, I want to get high. It was more about, I just want to make all the thoughts be quiet for a while. To suddenly have no way to make those thoughts go away would have been pretty hard.
Yeah, and that's something that changed my life was actually that part when I was at Long Bay Jail, and I'd had a couple of months by then to sober up off alcohol and drugs. And I used to be a gambling addict and a drug addict and a just problem drinker. And when I had none of that and I was just numb, I just felt everything. That was quite an invigorating feeling because I'd been escaping it for so long, right? Anytime I had a good feeling or a negative feeling, I would escape into my addictions for so long. But then sitting in jail and being like, my life is down the toilet, I've lost everything, this sucks, and just feeling like my whole body was just like an open wound, felt so shit but felt so good because I hadn't felt feelings in so long.
I remember the first time I cried after I got proper sober, like fully sobbing. It was like one of the first times in my life that maybe the second or third time in my life that it had happened. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It was like so overwhelming.
Yeah. And did it feel good in any way as well? Or just
there was a sad one that did kind of feel good. Then there was a happy one a couple of years later.
Yeah.
That felt, but it was more than I could have ever. It was more overwhelming than any drug that I had ever taken. But you couldn't have told me that.
No. There's something about the rawness of it when you spend so much time numbing yourself to all this stuff. Yeah. And then when it felt so raw, this feeling of shitness, and it felt good to feel shit. And then it was like, I said to myself, okay, this feeling doesn't feel good. let's not feel that again. What do I need to do to stop feeling that way? And so then I was like, I need to fix my life.
And this is the interesting thing is I talk about this sometimes on the show, the way that drinking and using affects your memory. You might have done something quite shit the night before and you can remember it, but you don't actually connect your behavior to the feeling of that's bad. I've hurt someone's feelings. And so you do the dumb thing again the next time.
Yep.
It's only when you get kind of dried out that you start to go, oh man, that would have been really awful for that person.
Yep.
And you get then the learning happens, but you never learn otherwise. You
Totally.
just keep going.
Anytime I would be in a situation where I would reflect on my own shitty life and my mistakes, obviously the answer was a lot of it was caused by the thing that I was doing that I was also using to escape it, right? It was the cocaine and the gambling and the alcohol. But instead of sitting down and having a good look in the mirror, I was like, let's get the fuck out of here mentally. Right. Let's abort. Let's get out of here. So then I would just get back into the drugs and the alcohol.
Yeah, avoiding responsibility is something that, addiction it'll do anything to protect itself.
Yep. Yeah, they're very good at it. Yeah.
It'll do everything it can to make sure that you keep going, whatever it is. But whether it be for me, it was also gambling. Porn was in there as well, and it was just you didn't want to. Just kept finding reasons and ways to allocate myself to a point where it's like, well, I'm here. It'd be rude not to. Right?
Exactly, right? and it's crazy. Like now, the antidote to all those things for me has been just filling my life with the shit that was the stuff I wanted to do in the beginning anyway.
Yeah.
But like I think I was just so unhappy with my life and my decisions and where I then at that there was just like let's escape.
Yeah.
And so when I sat in that horrible feeling for so long in jail and was like, this sucks, we need to fix this. And so I was like, okay, well, how do we go about that? What if we could have a redo, what would I do? And the only answer in my head was stand-up comedy.
Fair
Insanely.
enough. Is there, I don't know. I often ask this people because I'm interested in the prison system in Australia. I don't know if it's necessarily there for rehabilitation purposes.
I don't think it is.
No.
I don't think it is. I think it's there for repeat business. There's a lot of,
and I'd be interested in your thoughts of this because I think one of the questions I kind of ask, because I think that's the idea of the documentary in my head about this is, say someone got 25 for manslaughter, right? And, I don't know, when they were 21 years old, they fucking killed a bloke in a fist fight. The guy's head hit the ground, the guy died. There you go, 25 years. It's down there, it's the maximum I can give you, 25 years. How long would that person have to be in jail for you to feel okay with that person moving in next door to your family? Most people go, 25 years is probably not enough. But that's the time that our community has decided. He's probably a very different person. But, is it a good system if you don't feel that it's okay for him to live next door to you after doing the time that we've allocated? Probably not a great system.
No. It's complex because, there's not only is the perception of people when that guy gets out, because we do live under the illusion that we say, that once someone served their time, that's it, that their debt is paid. But there's not. There's a stigma attached to that. But then also, for a lot of guys, they'll go to prison. Doesn't matter if they do 10 or 20 years. Does that make them a better member of society when they get out? Are they less likely to commit crimes again or not? That depends on factors that I wouldn't say are really connected that much to what actually happens in prison, but the support network that they have out of it and the opportunities, I guess, that are provided for them in prison to then get out and change their lives, right? So like if you're locked up in a cage for 10 years and you're not taught about a trade or have the ability to educate yourself or given the support resources when you get out, and then you get out and you have this stigma attached to you and the only guys you identify with are other guys that you went to jail with, then how easy is it to just fall back into a life of crime as soon as you get out?
Well, and that's exactly it. My employment opportunities might be limited, because people know what I've, just been doing for the last 10 years of my life. My CV has a very big gap in it.
Yes,
and
of course.
entry-level jobs, I might be a lot older than the other guys that I'm working with. And then, feeling kind of humiliated at work, so I'm earning fuck all. And I get a phone call from someone going, hey, I'm such and such's uncle. He says you're all right. Would you like to earn $5,000 next week?
Yeah, I just need to drive from Townsville to Cairns with just some stuff in the car.
That's it.
Yeah, it's just going to be...
Sounds great. I'd love to go to the tropics. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Boom. And then that's of course.
Yeah.
It was a terrible choice, and I'm sure that person feels that way.
And then
it's the one in front of them.
But then on top of that, you've also got the complexity of in most of the jail wings that I was in, at least 30%, 40% of the guys in there were Aboriginal. And they know, it's all their family, uncles, cousins. They know everyone, right? And so some of these guys have more power and connections in prison than they have out. Wow. So what's the punishment? They've got more power and a comfortable life in jail sometimes than out. Then, what's the risk to them?
Is it an active choice that you have to make when you're in that kind of prison population to not get caught up in that kind of, well, this is what I'm going to do when I get out. This is what I was doing before, but imagine the volume I can do now I know that bloke.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of guys, it is university for crims, right?
Yeah.
It's just business networking. You just you're meeting guys. Then you get out. Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that changed for me was that I had my friends and family stuck by me, and I was, I always was under the belief, you do the crime. I was happy to do the time, but I didn't realize you do it with other people do it with you, right? And so the impact I had on my friends and family made me realize just how selfish I'd been. But also, I met so many guys in there that come from underprivileged backgrounds, and some of them you meet them, you're like, this was always the writing was on the wall since you were a kid. Mm-hmm. And for me, I went to a private school. I came from a pretty privileged upbringing. The only thing that led me there was my own dumb decisions, and so it felt like I was doing a disservice to a lot of the guys that were in there, to have chosen that path when I could have done anything. I chose to be a drug dealer when I could have done anything. And so I was like, I got to change this out of respect to them and to myself and to my family.
When you say you chose to be a drug dealer, yes, of course, but I can only imagine it's got to be an incremental cascade of decisions.
Yeah, very much so. It was over 15 years. It went from just trying to help my mates out at a party. You just I fell in love with magic mushrooms in Thailand. My mate started researching how to grow them. Then I was just a guy who could connect people, and everyone was having just a positive good time. And so, I had such positive times on magic mushrooms that it was just, and I saw the destruction in my own life from alcohol and gambling, that I was like, mushrooms aren't evil. What are we doing? It's only illegal on paper. I don't think that it should be illegal. So I just was like, these rules don't make sense. Why would I obey them?
Uh-huh.
And so that was the way it was very easy for me to justify it as it got bigger and bigger and bigger over the course of many years.
And then, yeah, my goodness. Wow. As I can only imagine that as when the cops do come in through your door.
You always think, I was so arrogant. I was like, they're not smart enough to ever catch me. This is never going to happen. They're police. Drug enforcement is people being harassed at music festivals and at train stations with sniffer dogs. I was like, they've got very limited skills in actually detecting it at a higher level, and so I just thought there's no chance. But then, one day you have a knock on the door, a loud knock with a battering ram, and you think, guys, this is not really a good time.
Just busy. Please play PlayStation.
I'm flat out. Come again later.
I'm nearly all the way to the Super Bowl on Madden. Can you just give me a shake? Is that okay?
Yeah.
What happened? I don't know anything about Australian prisons really. I mean, I grew up in Brisbane, so I knew what happened inside Boggo Road. I've been there. It's not current prison now, but I've seen the writing, the graffiti on the walls and stuff. It's, you can tell a lot from just the way someone's handwriting. You can tell a lot about someone's handwriting. And I'm in there. I was like, fuck, there's a lot of really untreated complex mental illness going on.
You can tell that just from the handwriting?
Oh, mate. I could tell you because I used to write when I got really sick. That's what my handwriting looks like. All right. And the shit that I'm writing, the things that people are writing on the walls, like, ooh, you probably need some 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 fucking olanzapine or something serious.
Yeah, you certainly do meet some guys that are not all there in the head, and you're like, that they need proper help.
It's far out, man. Like when I don't know anything about Australian prisons except for those couple of episodes of Mr. In Between when he deliberately got himself put in to do a job.
Yep. Yeah, and the old prison napalm that he does.
Oh boy,
the
like
jelly
is that were they close?
I'd say Mr. In Between is a pretty good version of what it's really like. It's just, and most of the time it's just guys being larrikins out in the yard exercising, and then there'd be every now and then a little bit of tension bubble, and then there'll be just a moment of extreme violence for like 10 seconds, and then it's all over, and some guy's bleeding somewhere. But yeah, that's the way it goes. But most of the time I found, a lot of guys would tell you when they've been in there for years that this stuff, the dramas do happen sooner or later, and you've got to stick up for yourself. I was fortunate that everyone treated me great. I had no issues. And most of the time I saw most of the dramas were related to stuff that people brought on themselves. Most of the time, which was like things like racking up drug debts or gambling debts, or guys that were just like involved in gang beefs or mouthing off, or guys accusing another guy of being an informant or something like that and not being able to back it up with paperwork. Those kind of things were the stuff I saw. Or guys lying about why they're in the yard. So there was a guy in one of my wings who his cellmate found his charge sheet in the bin, and it said that he'd assaulted a baby. And so he said, "Mate, you've got 2 minutes to buzz up," which means you've got to like buzz the intercom to say that you want to be moved to the protection wing. And he refused to go. He was like, "Oh no, the boys like me." And then next thing you know, 5 minutes later, he had his jaw broken. So those kind of things happen very quickly. But then most of the time, it's just like, "Hey, brother, how you doing? Let's have a laugh and play some cards, and let's play some music." So it's a crazy world, but I figured out how to keep a very low profile, even though I'm a pretty big guy.
Yeah, you are taller than me, and you exude. It's probably what made you a great salesperson. You exude a charisma about you. To be small would be tricky.
Yeah.
In a situation like that.
Well, you're just about not being a big personality, So I certainly wasn't trying to be a big personality in the yard. I made some friends, and we just exercise and just try and get along with everyone.
So let's just like completely just fabricated hypothetical, right? Something goes wrong, and I fucking end up in there. I put my hand up and say, "Yeah, excuse me, sir. Yeah, I'm vegan and celiac." Do they just laugh at me?
I think that they do. You would get a special meal provided to you, yeah. But whether you would cop any shit for that, probably not. But if anyone did, you'd want to stick up for yourself, right? Because someone might test you, and then as soon as you just like, if you cop it, like sometimes guys will try and push in front of you on the phone, or like try and like steal a bit of your food. And if you don't stick up for yourself, and if you turn it, if people think you're a walkover, then you're fucked.
What does stick up for yourself look like? Is that always physical?
It would be like, let's go.
Christ.
Yeah. It has to be physical, or at least pretend like you're about to that you're prepared to fight for it. Yeah.
So my current 1986, grade 11. I was 11 years old. I got a second dan blue belt in suburban taekwondo. So that and the jiu-jitsu I do with my son on Saturday mornings. He's 4 and a bit, not 5 now. That's about it.
But it doesn't matter if you won or lost the fight. It's just about the fact that you're willing to fight. That's enough. If you stuck up for yourself and copped a few punches, then people are like, okay, he deserves a bit of respect. There was a guy in my wing who got punched in the head a couple of times who I really liked, and I wanted to stick up for him. And my cellie said to him, "Stay out of it." Said to me, "Stay out of it." He said, "You can only back him up if he backs himself up. Like you can't do. Right. You got to let people do their own jail." And that was an important lesson for me. Was like you can't be a hero for other people.
You got to. Is that's one of the T-shirts? I'm guessing on the Etsy page. You got to let people do their own jail. What?
You hear that a lot in jail. Yeah? You got to let people do their own jail.
Wow.
Because people go through peaks and troughs mentally, physically, and you can't go around saving everyone.
Because you got to look after yourself.
Got to look after yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to get through it.
You got to get
as
through it yourself. So you got to let other people do their own job.
What is the food like?
The food, a lot of people whinge. They're big whingers in jail. I thought the food was fine. I scored it all on my prison food review scale that I
love it.
created when I was in quarantine because I just needed something to stop me from going insane. And I think that was my first indication that I should get into comedy because it was funny to me.
Yeah.
To score my prison food because I'm a foodie. I used to own a restaurant.
Yes.
And so for me, there was something funny about being in a prison and still critiquing the food and then arguing with my cellmate about, I was more of a 4.2, I think. And so...
Not as tender as last week.
Yeah, there was no love in this sandwich, this kind of stuff. Like a bit stingy on the mayo, So all that kind of stuff I thought was just so funny. But generally, I would say the food was about a 6 on a prison scale. So that's edible. And what more do you want? If you train all day, anything tastes great.
So I'm guessing physical exertion is a way of kind of regulating yourself when you're in there.
Yeah, mate, I didn't realise how much exercise and sunlight, being in the yard every day and just getting sun on my face after being a drug addict for so long and just sitting in the darkness for all my years. Just changed my mental health. And so then I was like, this place is fine. I can handle this.
What kind of, is it like with an iron paradise situation? Like what's the gym situation?
It's just like you're in a big steel yard, high perimeter fences with barbed wire around it, cameras everywhere. But then there'll be like some static gym equipment, some like dip bars and that kind of stuff. Or there might be some ones that you might see at like a kid's playground that use like your own body weight to exercise with, all that kind of stuff. But then as you can get sometimes to like more privileged wings. I was in a gold pod at Parkley and they have like heavy like 10 kilo sandbags, 20 kilo sandbags that you use to do as like arm curls and stuff like that. So they're pretty handy.
But I'm guessing like there's no weight plates lying around.
No weight plate, nothing that you would be able to easily use to kill someone with. None of that, right?
Nothing that can be weaponized.
Guys will fill like plastic bags full of water. Guys are so good at improvising with anything. Broomsticks and water bags for doing arm curls and everything. And you're like, oh, wow, these guys have figured this out.
And it's probably had it been a while since you'd exercised?
It had been a while, yeah. So it was good to get back into that. And I think there's a sense of camaraderie in most yards, guys getting into the training, encouraging each other. Particularly, you see guys that are maybe overweight, don't have the confidence to get into it. They'll really be encouraged, which is something cool that you see. Guys that really encourage each other to try and better themselves in the yard most of the time.
When it comes, so 4 months, what was the original sentence?
So I was in remand, which is like unsentenced jail, and then I eventually got granted bail to my parents' place, and then I was under house arrest for
Hang on, how did you get like bail? Like, did you have to convince someone?
I was sitting there via video screen from prison. With the biggest book I could find, which was Game of Thrones book, and my glasses on to make me look like I was a real bookworm to make myself look as nerdy and innocent.
Mate, visuals are really important.
I thought if the judge sees me...
I'm sorry, I was just busy.
I thought if the judge sees me...
Westeros is fine.
If the judge sees me with this giant book and glasses, I'm like, this can't be a drug dealer, this must be an innocent man, but we've made a mistake here. So I got bail, and then I was under house arrest, and... Yes, I wasn't allowed to leave the house unless I was in the company of my mum and dad, who are both in their mid-70s. And then, I was under house arrest for a few months.
How does that feel? Because I remember that my mum even saying the line, I don't know, I think we'd done something dumb. There was alcohol involved. And I was a teenager. She goes, I'm not mad. I'm just really disappointed. And it was the worst thing. There was no, because I was bigger than her from the age of 11, right? So there was no punishment that she could give me. The worst thing was knowing that I hurt her. That was as fucking bad as it got.
Yep.
What's that like when you facing your parents like that?
It was fine then because I'd already been locked up for 4 months and we spoke on the phone every day. And so I would say when I was in the middle of drug dealing and drug addiction, my relationship with them was quite fractured because, I was living a lie. But once the truth was out there and they got around the fact that I was locked up and they said to me, it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to you. And I agreed. And so we talked on the phone every day and that was such a great support network for me that by the time I got out, things were relatively fine. I even joked like when I got in the car, when they were waiting for me, when I got bail, I jumped in the car. I'm like, go! They changed it. They're after me. go, drive. And so they were very cool, and it was great. It took me a little while to get used to being at home again, and also just being able to like shit without permission and leave a room. Even though like I was only locked up for 4 months, I did find it took me a couple of days to just readjust back to the real world again. Even like just walking around a supermarket with my dad, I felt like people could tell that I was like fresh out of jail. Like you feel like it's just you've got some.
Would you have the
stain on you?
Ankle monitor or anything?
Nothing like that. It was just in my head. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And so it was just in my head. I thought like the people can tell, but no one can tell.
Wow.
And then I just I had a bunch of mates come to visit me, which was cool. I had a bunch of mates that I thought would come visit me that didn't. I had a bunch of mates that
isn't that interesting?
So some of your best mates support you. Some mates do come, and then some of your best mates let you down. But then also people that you never thought would support you come out of the woodwork.
It's all good intel. Andrew, those moments I find they're really good. It's really good intel.
Crisis is a great clarifier.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It sure is.
So that's why people are so negative about it. Like, oh, your best friends let you down. But like, I'm like, yeah, but also some people will surprise you.
Yeah,
which is the cool thing about it.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad.
When did it hit you that like my parents must feel this? When did you kind of understand what your parents might have been going through?
I mean, I knew that pretty much as soon as I got arrested because I was on the phone to my dad and he was like, your mum's collapsed in shock. And that was hard to hear. And then I think that they sent me a lot of letters, particularly in the first couple of weeks before I was able to get them on the phone because everything happened so slowly in jail. I wasn't able to, they cancelled face-to-face visits because of COVID. So I was only able to do like iPad visits, but even that took weeks. So it was like a slow process, but the hearing that they still love me and supported me made a huge difference, and that was part of the reason I was like, "What am I doing? I got to change this. I can't be continuing to sell drugs after this." So.
Could you have said anything to, using and dealing you that would have changed anything though?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think there's something for a lot of guys when you're involved in it that you think that you're too smart and that you've got this exit strategy and that you're just going to get to that point and then you're going to quit. And I know for a fact I would have got to that point and just kept going. But I don't think until my hand got forced by getting dragged to prison whether or not I would have listened to that voice, even if it came from myself. Yeah. I don't know.
I think about it in my own case, like. Plenty of people had told me. I was like, fuck off, I'm fine. That was my, I'm not my dad, whatever.
Yeah.
It was only when I actually woke up one morning and was like, I just can't, I'm going to die. I can't do this. I just going to have to stop.
Yeah.
And it was only when I looked at myself.
But was it just a realization or was there a rock bottom, like a crisis moment that made you?
It was just another morning after, another night before.
Yeah.
That was another time that I was sure it was going to end up different, but it was exactly the same again and again and again and again and again and again. I was like, oh my God, I know where this goes,
That's very cool. You just had your point where you're like, that's enough.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to die, because it was good. It would have been actually, I've spoken about it before. It was like, because Valiums and prescription painkillers were a part of the last, couple months, and it would have been, had some Vals, whatever, but I'm a bit pissed, so I forgot that I've already taken them. Have another one, and then, you just forget, and that's it. Oopsie-daisy. And that was probably going to happen. That happened to somebody I knew, really close person I knew, and that's how they went, because it came out that like this is, it's like, no, they were just on the piss, and they had some benzos in their house, and they forgot that they'd taken them already, and then they took some more. And that's it. They stopped breathing.
Yeah.
But it looks like a deliberate act, but it isn't. It's just accidental. And that's something like that was coming for me.
That's I used to have a podcast that I don't run anymore called Shit's Gone Sideways, where I talk to people about this, right? About like when you have your crisis point in your life.
That's great.
And what and how it can be life-changing for so many people. And for me, like, I wouldn't be on this happy, positive path now if I didn't go to jail. And there are people that, whether it's like a major health scare or a death in the family or like losing the job that they loved or like a brutal divorce or like there's so many other things where someone has a crisis point where then they ask themselves these questions about like life is short. What do I want to get out of it?
Yeah.
And what would I be doing differently if I wanted to go down that path? And so like for you, it sounds like you just got to a point where like, this is enough. I've got to stop doing that.
see where I was going, yeah.
And so I wish for people that they can just have that conversation with themselves without having to go through such a painful point like going to prison or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, man.
But just say to yourself, hey, I don't love my life, but there's a version, there is a path to that really happy place. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
And have that hard conversation. Right?
It is having the humility though and my guy that he's still with me, thank goodness. I speak to him every Friday. He kind of really had to sit me down and go, so when you were doing all this and da-da-da-da-da, were they the best ideas you had? I was like, absolutely. That was the smartest you thought you were being? Yep. Where did it get you?
Yeah.
I was divorced and unemployed and I was like, do you think different ideas might be useful? Perhaps ideas that you didn't come up with? Maybe. It's like, just do what I tell you for a little while, see what happens.
That's cool.
And guess what fucking happened? Everything got better.
Wow.
Because I had to just really have humility to, as you said, you think you're smart, you think you can outthink this, but I had to come to the idea that my best thinking wasn't enough. And it was my ideas that had got me into this, and I might have needed some new ideas if I wanted to get out of it because this is all I knew. I
think there's a lot to be said for the fact that I don't think any of us can have these huge pivots alone. I think that sometimes it's about identifying who are the people you need to speak to and lean on to have that turning point. I couldn't have done it without the support of my friends and family, but then also I found when I decided when I was in a house arrest, I was like, right, I'm going to do comedy. I saw an ad for a comedy competition. I signed up for that, and I started going to open mic comedy nights. I had to bring my mum along because I wasn't allowed out of the house. And I found just this such supportive comedy scene in Sydney. They were like, they thought my story was hilarious, and they liked my comedy, and so people just kept giving me opportunities and helping me out, and that changed my life, this whole new family that I found. And so,
what does a 70-something-year-old mum make of the open mic stand-up scene?
Well, I mean, she's got quite an open mind, and so...
Was she heckling the edgelords? No. What was she doing?
So there's a lot of edgelords.
Oh, man.
A lot of guys doing, wank jokes for 2 hours, and so I think she patiently listened and was like, oh, he wasn't very good. And she was like, do you think I should have a go? And I was like, well, Mum, I think that you'd probably be better than a couple of these guys, but also it'd be humiliating if you were funnier than me. So I don't want you to try.
Speaking of humility, of all the professions there are in the world, stand-up comedy is probably, I guess maybe pro boxer, where you literally walk out there knowing you're going to get fucking hit in the face for a while before it's okay.
Yeah.
What does it take to know that, this is going to hurt, this is going to probably suck, but it's in the vein of trying to get better?
Compared to the shit I had just been through, I was like, this is a couple of people not laughing at my jokes. So I was like, this is nothing. Who cares?
Yeah, right.
You know? So I did, but I was very fortunate that I found me getting on stage and owning the fact that, hey, I went to prison for drugs and I'm going to make some jokes about it. That pretty much got laughs from day one.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with comedy straight away, just the getting a laugh. And I found it so cathartic to laugh at my own mistakes. The organised crime squad raiding my house and tackling me and telling me I had a tiny cock and all this kind of stuff. And I thought it was so funny. I was like, let's laugh about this. And so,
really, that's what they told you?
Yeah, like this.
You were naked?
No, I had pants on. That's why, Osher, I was fully clothed, and this guy with fully balaclava, they got a shield, he's tackled me, but they have so many Red Bulls, and he's so used to raiding bikies with guns that they're so revved up. He just said, "Stay down, you fat cunt, you got a tiny cock." And so that was one of my first jokes I wrote, which was that's how I knew they must have had me under surveillance.
Exactly. Like,
How else would they know about the cock?
so you've been doing your homework.
Yeah. So that was when I was sitting in prison. I was writing joke ideas, it's so crazy to me still. My life feels very surreal how much things have changed in the last couple of years. But I sat in a prison cell writing jokes. And I felt like I had this crossroads where I was like, either I can go back to a white-collar job and pretend this never happened and hope that no one read the Daily Mail, or I can get on stage every night and say, hey, I went to prison for drugs and we're going to laugh about it and just own the fuck out of it. And it seems so crazy, but in my head I was like, this is going to work and it's going to change your life.
You know, your parents, you say you still live with them. So is that a still conditional thing? Or
No, I got sentenced in July 2022. I got sentenced to an intensive corrections order, which is essentially means I'm doing a prison sentence in the community till mid-December this year. And so no, I don't have to live with them, but I'm a struggling artist. I'm on the road touring with comedy for so much of the year that it just didn't really make sense to find a place yet.
And what does that look like? Does it look like I don't know, my only idea is, because I'm more familiar with the mental health system, does it look like an outpatient thing where you have to go and chat with someone a couple of times a week or anything like that?
No, I mean, sometimes you do. They can change the rules on you for an intensive corrections order based on your risk profile. So if you're guys that are in there if you've been done on like heroin or meth, then you may have to do drug testing. You might have to report into community corrections. They suspended all of that for me immediately. I'm too low risk for them. And plus, they've seen me do comedy and they're fans of it. So we've got a great relationship. I am considered by them, I guess, a poster boy for rehabilitation after prison. So I get to do some pretty cool gigs now. I performed for the New South Wales Drug Court. I performed at the New South Wales Legal Aid Conference.
Brilliant.
I went and performed at Cobham Juvenile Detention Centre for the boys before Christmas, and hopefully we're going to have me performing in a prison soon. I was originally meant to perform. I got invited by Silverwater Jail to perform there in February, but by the prison I got invited, and then I didn't pass their own background check because I'm on an active sentence. So we have to wait till the end of the year, but it was so funny.
Wow.
That I'm like, shouldn't I? Aren't I more qualified to go into a prison than if I'm on an active sentence than most people? But yeah, it's very cool that I get to do this stuff now, and I'm hoping through my story and through comedy that I can help speak to people either who have loved ones in jail or guys that are in jail to be like, hey man, you can stop doing crime. Like that is an option you're allowed to do, and I'll actually put you on a much more positive path.
What would you want to say to people? What do you think the biggest misconception people have about someone who is in prison?
I guess there is a massive stigma around it, but I think that particularly when it comes, most guys are in there for drug crimes, a lot of it for meth. And that may not necessarily be selling or importing meth, but also just crimes to fund their addiction, right? And so I think the more that we destigmatize drugs and understand the nuances between drugs instead of saying all illegal drugs are evil and bad. I mean, there's so much changes in drug laws right now. They've legalized magic mushrooms and MDMA. They've now decriminalized small amounts of drugs in Canberra, right? They've got now, instead of getting a criminal record in Canberra, if you have like under 1.5 grams of drugs, you get a fine. I think all these help us to say that our viewpoint on the criminality when it comes to drugs is changing, and a lot of guys that go to prison are not evil people, and they are worthy of second chances, and we need to wrap them around with opportunity and support so that they don't go down that path again.
Yeah, the way that we see addiction in our community, I think it's got a lot. We need to do a lot of work on it. You know,
Totally.
People think, "Oh, you're choosing to do this." Like, mate, you don't understand. Yes, if someone's like doing ice, or they're smoking ice, they know exactly how bad it is. They know exactly what it's going to do to their teeth, their family, their finances, their whatever. They also know it is the best choice they have at that point because it's better than dealing with all the fucking stuff going on in their head or in their life,
Right?
Or the withdrawal of having it prior. So they know how terrible it is. They know how bad it's going to get, but it's better than not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. When I was a gambling addict, I remember it felt like an out-of-body experience. Like I was just spectating my own life, and that I was in there watching myself being like, this is fucked, but I couldn't do anything about it. I just felt like a slave to addiction. And I felt similar with cocaine. And so I just felt like such a slave to it, but that was linked to the fact that I just didn't like who I was and the life that I was living, and I didn't know how to get out of it. And so for me, now I have such a positive life. I love my life. I love the things that I'm doing, and I'm addicted to comedy. So now I can be near cocaine. I spend my time in pubs near pokies all the time. I never even think about them. I never even look at them because I'm like, my life is too good to throw away now.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You start to build a life in sobriety. I would say you build a life that you're not willing to risk.
Yeah.
Because you know what happens.
Yeah. My brain has rewired. It doesn't even think about it. Like, it's not even like I'm weighing it up like, I'm tempted. It's like I don't even think about it at all. I used to be able to not have 4 beers without having to have cocaine. Now I can have 20 beers and it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter for me.
You and me are very different people. Like I got given for Father's Day, I got given a ginger beer, how to make a ginger beer kit.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it real careful because it's like, hang on, if I put too much sugar in this, it'll ferment. And then it'll turn to alcohol.
Funny. But yeah, of course.
I can't even, before kombucha was bottled, when mates were making it, I was living in America, and I was like, I've got kombucha. I remember sipping the first time I ever had kombucha, I was like fucking fingernails on the table.
Really?
Like, because it was that thing. As soon as it hits me, I was like, okay.
That's fascinating, yeah.
Yeah, once that molecule gets in, it's like a peanut allergy, really.
Yeah.
Once that molecule gets in my body, it's like I will fucking run through a wall to get to a 6-pack, and I just had to kind of write it out for like half an hour or so. It was hard.
Well, you got to know yourself, right? This is part of getting older as you figure out these things. But
when you're thinking about the gambling, right?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel that in this country, Australians lose $25 billion a year in gambling, and $7 billion of that goes to the government?
Yeah, it's fucked.
That's a huge amount of profit off addiction.
We have more poker machines in New South Wales than anywhere in the world other than Las Vegas. And like that is fucked to me. And I grew up with just this pokey culture, cheeky slap. You go to the pub and like you go to the pub since you're 18 and you have a few beers, your brain's not working, and then you get like lured into these pokey dens that are designed to take your money. And you go to other countries, like even in America, like where they have pokies at Vegas, you go to a local pub, there's no pokies, right? No. We're the only country in the world where we put it on every street corner.
It's because we've got a lot of VIPs. We need a room for them.
I've been in these VIP rooms.
We need a room or everywhere.
I've been in these VIP rooms. There's very few actually important people in there. Where are they? They're hiding.
It's the coupling of profit to addiction in this country particularly around gambling, is just, it's insidious. And I can't, the power that the gambling lobbies have over our governments is nuts.
We laugh at America for not being able to enact any useful gun laws, but then we won't put that own comment on ourselves when it comes to pokies.
Yeah, absolutely right. We never, no, my God.
I won't say the name. I was in a pub recently because I've been in pubs around the country doing gigs, and he said he just got back from a pokey conference. And I said, was the conference on how to get rid of them? And he goes, no, it's on how to make more money of them. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much sums up the situation with Australia, right?
That's the thing. Like, I've heard there's facial recognition going on with as part of like responsible gaming. It's like, well, if we put facial recognition in there, we can tell if someone is kind of sleepy or if they're, whatever. Like, they're putting all this money into the machine, all this R&D to try to keep the person sitting there, rather than putting all this money into maybe thinking about what can we help this person with so they don't have to fucking do this thing all the time so they feel okay.
Yep.
It's
and it's worse than Australia. We're the only state, I'm pretty sure, there might be another state, but I'm pretty sure New South Wales is the only state where we have $10 hits, right? So it's like every other state in Australia, $5 max hit. And so you can lose your money twice as fast in New South Wales, and we have it on every fucking street corner in every pub.
But there's the thing. Without gambling, we would have no state of origin. Like, that's the reason that pokies are the reason we have a state of origin. And it's
why is that though?
Oh, I grew up in Queensland.
Yeah,
pokies were illegal north of the Tweed.
Yeah,
right. They were only legal in New South Wales. So Albury, massive, because people from Victoria would drive up play at the clubs there, Twin Towns on the Gold Coast was the most humongous RSL ever because it was just full of pokies, and they would bus them down from Brisbane to go and throw their 20-cent pieces in, right? Because these leagues clubs had so much money, they could buy all our good footy players and they could pay for, to come play at St George or play at Penrith or whatever. They could offer them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Queensland was still amateur. So then in 1980, they were like, well, all right then, let's see who's – because all our great Queensland footballers all played in New South Wales. So that's where State of Origin started. It's because Pokey Money bought had the money to pay all the players.
Wow.
And so that's why it was like, okay, let's go who debuted for what club, let's go from there. And that's where it started.
Oh, man. It's like our history is a strange world. Like I still even remember when like the NRL Grand Final with the Winfield Cup, and it's like those were the glory days.
And they'd get a cutaway of Wally having a dart at half time because it's on the sponsorship. Yeah. Wally would be there, man.
It was a simpler time, but now I think we're having our reckoning with just our unhealthy obsession with gambling. I think that our obsession with doing 2-up on Anzac Day is the wrong message as well. It's just like, oh, let's get drunk and gamble to celebrate the Anzacs. All those kinds of things. I'm just like, there's something wrong with us, and it's not getting better. I think we lose more money per person than anywhere in the world in Australia. We're the biggest losers gambling.
Speaking of TV shows you can't make anymore, so underneath the comedy, this really sounds like you have a message to share with people from a stage.
That was something I was quite proud of with my first show, which was called Jokes About the Time I Went to Prison.
How long was the marketing meeting? A long time?
So my background's in PR and marketing, Osher. I know how to sell things.
I like things that do what they say on the box.
That's
I like it.
Well, my rationale was I'm going to go to Melbourne Comedy Festival. No one knows who I am. You can't call the show Daffodil or something like that. And I was like, just tell them what it is, So Jokes About the Time I went to prison. And so that helped people to figure out whether they wanted to see the show. No one was coming to the show and 20 minutes in, be like, I think this guy's been to jail. I think he's on the wrong thing. No,
yeah,
they knew before they were coming in, and so I tried to finish the show with the kind of sincere part, which was about the fact that I truly believe in the healing power of laughter. It changed my life, and that's what drives me to do comedy. And that I want to kind of use comedy to show people that you can, you can screw your life up, but you can come back as long as you don't give up on yourself.
Laughter has this really beautiful trick of it can subvert a preconception or it can subvert a bias.
I definitely believe that.
It goes around the idea of like, oh, all fucking Green voters are this or all fucking coalition voters are that. If you tell a good enough joke, you can humanise someone in a click of a finger.
I'll show how many of these bloody protesters piss everyone off by sticking themselves to paintings or like locking themselves on bloody bridges. If they just made someone laugh, they would be much more effective, I think, in getting their message out there.
I agree.
I think that's certainly happened to me. There's definitely been people either at my shows or line-up shows where they've seen me and I've made them laugh and I've made them think, and at the end they've said that I've I had an impact on the way that they think about ex-cons. Yeah, for sure.
Because we're coming into an election again in Australia at the time we're us recording this, and surely someone's going to start beating their fist about, crime here or more jails there or blah, 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 which works because people are afraid, and I don't want that happening in my suburb. Oh, absolutely, I will have more of this. You mentioned you talked about the rehabilitative the lack of rehabilitation available in these facilities.
Yep.
What would you like to see changed in the way we treat people who, we've agreed there's a debt to pay to society for this thing you've done. What would you like to see between the thing and now you're back out?
Well, I think that the more we treat drug crimes and drugs as a health issue instead of a criminal issue will free up a lot of space in prisons. I think get these guys help rather than locking them up, I think. Is something which would go a long way. But then I think just the piece around education and also support and opportunity when people get out, and also and helping them to connect with other people whether that's their accessibility to their family, friends, or other just support networks. I think people have to get out and have a reason, a driving force to change, right? I think there has to be something where they can go, oh, this life that I can get when I get out is so good that I don't want to fucking do crime, right?
Yeah.
That's what it needs to be. And so I don't think we do any of that well. I think it's like, okay, you've done your time, see ya, good luck.
Right.
Don't break the law again. And then they like get out and people can be fined for 6 months, but then they have fractured relationships with friends and family. They haven't got a job. They're struggling and they're like, oh, fuck this shit. And they forget what jail was like. And so they just go back to their old selves.
Oh, man.
That's what happens. I remember walking the yard with a guy who I was friends with, and I said, oh, man, I'm never coming back here. And he goes, and he laughed. They laugh every time. Like, oh, yeah, because so many people. I was in a yard of 80 guys, and I was like one of 2 guys in there for the first time. Everyone else, repeat offenders.
Wow.
And I said, no, man, like this has been a life-changing experience. I'm never going to come back. And he goes, and he laughed at me. He goes, yeah, give it time. You'll forget.
Wow.
And that's truly what a lot of them believe.
I can't imagine it's a cheap thing for, a state to pay for someone to be locked up either.
No, I forget the numbers, but it's big numbers per person, and it's even more in juvenile detention centres for child because I think they had to have a certain number of guards per group number of children. So it's even bigger, and we're locking up kids all the time.
Yeah. Do you get asked to go and speak to young men? You said you've done gigs at youth detention. Do you do gigs like for high schools and stuff like that?
I haven't done any of that yet. I mean, my redemption story is still very new.
Yeah.
But I'm sure those things are coming, right?
Yeah.
I think that I got a message the other day about someone wanting me to come in and chat at a rehab centre, and I think that I'm getting a lot of messages now because my book just came out a couple of weeks ago that that's resonating with people a lot. So I think that those opportunities will come more and more over the next few years as I continue to not break the law.
But as you mentioned, you have seen what you've built, and you're not willing to risk this life that you're creating.
Totally not. But if I run out of comedy, if I run out of jokes, sure, at some point I may need to go back to jail for more material.
I disagree. Mate. I think you're going to be. You just go for the classics. You just get married and do gear about the wife and kids. Ball and chain gags still work, mate.
Yeah, I'm joking.
What's dating like? Like I thought I was like when I was on Tinder for like the worst 9 months of my life. When I was dating and tell people I'm divorced at the time, I'm married again now. It was like, what's it like dating?
Well, I have a girlfriend now who's a comedian based in Perth, but it certainly was a bit of a roller coaster. A lot of girls would be keen until I give them my backstory, and they're like, hell no, run for the hills.
Wow.
But I thought it was important to be upfront with that straight away, right? Because I don't want to. I wanted someone to like me for me.
They're going to find out eventually.
Yeah. I spent some time in a gated community recently. That kind of stuff. So all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought it was quite important to be up front. But then, there'd be other girls that were weirdly into it, or maybe too much, like a bucket list thing. I don't know.
Wow.
So I don't know. You get all sorts.
Look, mate, I could really chat with you for quite a while, but you're a busy man. You got shit to do. Time is important to you.
So are you, mate.
No, time is important to you. And I would ask the final thing I'd ask you is that there was a point in my life. It was funny because I was going through some old footage last night, and I found this footage of us walking around New York on September 12th, because we were there when I went down. But I got PTSD off of that, and it was very weird for a long time. But there's another thing called, which I didn't realize, but it started to happen, post-traumatic growth. Would you say that you've experienced stuff like that? Would you have experienced growth because of what happened?
In pretty much every way.
Yeah.
It was life-changing for me. I feel like a completely different, better version of myself. I think I've got a bigger heart now. I think I'm more patient with people. I think I appreciate things more. I try to appreciate the small things in life more because I remember just how good it was just to have a fresh egg when I got out of jail, or a good cup of coffee. Wow. It's like those things like that, and just like relationships. How grateful I am for all those kind of things, and also just the fact that when I felt like I lost everything, I didn't lose everything, but he felt like I lost my fiance, my home, my business, my dog, and I thought I'd lost everything, but I was like, hold on, you still got a lot. I still had my health, and I had my friends and family that stuck by me, and I had my sense of humor, and that sense of humor probably saved my life in many ways as well. And so now I get to live this positive life. I get to travel around saying insane things into a microphone each night and make people laugh. And I'm just like, if I had to go through all that pain again to live the life I'm having now, I would do it 100 times over, because I feel so fortunate that I found this path. It's crazy.
Well, I certainly hope that because of your work, people start thinking differently about, because you're probably the first prisoner that a lot of people, they've probably met prisoners or ex-cons, but they would never have disclosed, because of the stigma associated. So you're probably the first person that people go.
I did have a guy DM me on Instagram recently to say that he went to jail and got out and started his life over again, and he has a successful business now, and he's never spoken about it. Most people he knows never knew that he went to prison. And because of me, he started doing a public speaking course, and because he wants to start talking about it and letting people into that part of his life.
Wow.
And so that felt amazing to hear that.
Wow.
That you can, I can have that impact on people.
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, is that or a one-way jet so ticket to Darwin? And, no, Michael's my name. Lovely to meet you. I met a lot of blokes in Darwin with just one name. No. I've been here a while. Like, okay. Same with Tassie. Tassie's like a lot of people who like, what's your name? Okay, Belinda. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
fair enough.
And some of them are at my shows. You know,
Thanks for coming, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. It was great to
awesome.
chat.